so I've been on Dragon's Den now for 10 years, going into my 11. I see a lot of pitches. It was a daunting, kind of sounded scary thing. I knew I'd have to move to Toronto and suddenly I would, people would know who I am and a variety of different things. If the person in front of you doesn't take their own appearance seriously, it's really hard for somebody else to respect you. The biggest mistake that people make is...
And what were some of maybe your sacrifices?
Oh gosh, that's a heavy one to start.
Sorry. Welcome to the Young Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Malina, and I'm 15 years old. Today's guest is an incredible individual in the world of entrepreneurship. She's the co-founder of Minhas Breweries, an investor on Dragon's Den, and a true trailblazer in building successful businesses from the ground up. Her journey is incredible, and I'm beyond grateful to be having Mrs. Manjit Minhas on the Young Leaders Podcast. Mrs. Minhas, welcome to the Young Leaders Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I haven't been called Mrs. Minhas in a while, but thank you.
Yeah, I'm super excited for today's recording. Before we do start, I want to let all of our viewers know that there will be a very, very interesting and fun Would You Rather session at the end of this conversation. So make sure you stay tuned till the end.
Okay.
Mrs. Minhas, we'll start off with our mystery question that was left by one of our previous guests. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So what is the biggest mistake that you see people make when launching a business?
Oh my, it's not only one usually, but I'd say that the biggest mistake that people make is that they're not sure about their funding, but also about what they're willing to give up to fund their business. A lot of people think that they'll get investors and they'll get bring other people in to give them money, but they forget that you have to give up something to get something. And when people are launching their business, they think that any type of money is free money, but absolutely it's not. It's not about you just giving up equity in your company. Sometimes, even if you're not giving up equity, you are giving your time, you're giving your energy to pitch, to report back to them. Often, even if they're angel investors, they want to know what you're doing with the money and have say in the decision. So I think that one of the biggest mistakes is that people forget or they don't plan enough for how they're going to fund the business and what they're willing to give up to fund the business. Because if you're just bootstrapping it, sometimes what you're giving up is that you can't do everything as fast as you want. And so there's always a sacrifice.
Okay. And what were some of maybe your sacrifices?
Oh gosh, that's a heavy one to start.
Sorry.
I started when I was 19 years old. I was studying engineering at the U of C. And, I just thought I'd be a sales, marketing, branding company with my brother. Would bring some spirits to the marketplace. My dad was an engineer and laid off from an oil and gas company, and he owned some liquor stores. And so I thought it would just be a side hustle. It would be something that I did as a hobby and it'd be fun and make a couple bucks at it. But very quickly I discovered that there was, a market for good quality spirits at a fair, everyday low price. And I think what I didn't know, there's lots of great things about being young. A big part of that is naivety, for sure. You don't know the way the world works. But, you do put a lot of time and energy into something and you eat, sleep, and breathe it and you become very obsessed with it in a good way. But it is something that takes over your life. And I think that being an entrepreneur is one of those things that, the famous saying goes, you left a 9 to 5 to work 24 hours a day. And so it is that you definitely sacrifice a lot of different things. Sometimes it can be your mental health. Sometimes it can be friends and vacations and time with family and lots of other things. But nothing that I wasn't okay with sacrificing or that I didn't choose myself. And I think that that's the most important thing. Because I truly believe that you should never have regrets and that you should always know that fear is temporary and that you will get through something, but you should never have regrets that you didn't do something.
Yeah, that's for sure. I know my parents always tell me that you should never, ever regret anything you do, no matter how big or how small it is, because living in regret, you'll end up wasting more time moving forward while thinking about the past instead of planning for your future. Could you tell me a little bit about your journey, like how you started? Because you said you were 19 when you went into this, I guess, journey of entrepreneurship and that you want to be an engineer?
Yeah. So, I thought I would be an oil and gas engineer. I'm born and raised in Calgary, Alberta, and that is the sector that is, the most prominent, where the good jobs are at, and mostly what people do here. And I was good at math and science, and that's really what I thought I was going to do too. My dad, like I said, was an engineer also, and I went to the U of C and University of Calgary, and I was studying engineering. And while I was there, like I said, I came up with this idea. And, I think it's just like anything, you have to know what you're good at and what you aren't. And I knew I was good at sales. I knew a little bit about the industry because of my dad's business at that point, but also that I thought I could really bring something new to the market and solve a problem. So the best businesses are always solving problems for somebody. And the problem that I was solving was for especially bars and restaurants and hotels and conferences. When they make alcoholic drinks, they use what is called bar stock. So it's not based on what the brand name of the product is. It's about volume. It's about its price. It's about, what type of product it is. So is it a vodka, a rum, a tequila? But it's really a lot about around the price. And so I thought if I could make a really good product at a really good price, I could not only get some market share, but then also solve their problem that sometimes a lot of the time what is the cheapest is really crappy. And the people buying it, it suffers. The conferences, like people don't like it. It's watered down. They do some really interesting things to, make some money. And so that was the basis of the start of the business. And I didn't think that we would make it ourselves. I left that to the experts. So I co-packed it at a distillery in the United States and then had multiple others. And I think that that's something that everybody should remember too, is that you don't have to do everything yourself. You can pick what you're really good at and outsource the rest of it. And that's how we started for the first many years. And then we got later on into the beer business. Same thing. We had other breweries make it for us, but we knew what we wanted as far as brand, what it should taste like, what it should look like, a variety of things, and we did the sales for it. And then a couple of years later, in 2006, we bought the brewery that was making our stuff for us. And then after that, we put up our own breweries and distilleries. And so in North America and overseas. And so we create a lot of alcoholic products. We make some non-alcoholic products too, the Minhas craft sodas, but it's not a big part of our business. We are mainly an alcohol company.
And I guess being a woman, especially in the industry of beer and alcohol, did you face any challenges?
Yeah, oh, for sure. I think first with engineering, there used to be very few women. Now it's nice that there are a lot more women that go into engineering and STEM based careers. But yes, definitely in the liquor industry, there still are not very many women. There definitely wasn't when I was there either. But I think that it's important not to dwell for girls and for women in general, and or minorities, and or if you're young or old, but young especially, that you don't dwell on what you are not. You focus on what are your unfair advantages. Why are you better than everybody else? So I was going to stand out no matter what. I was young. I was 19. I was, and even years later, I was in my 20s. I was dealing with people that were double, triple my age. I was a woman and I am Indian. And all three things I couldn't change. So I decided after getting really upset a couple times that nobody was taking me seriously. I wasn't getting the meetings. I wasn't getting the deals. I wasn't getting the buyers to buy, that I'm going to use those things as my unfair advantages. So I'm going to stand out, and let's stand out for the right reasons. And I think for everyone, especially women, confidence is built, but young people too. Confidence is built by doing things over and over again, getting out of your comfort zone, but also believing in yourself first and foremost. Nobody else will believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. And you've got to do things that help build your own confidence. And it starts from the outside in often. First, you got to know all your things. You got to be super researched. You got to have a best presentation. You got to know it well. You can make mistakes along the way, but you have to be prepared, and actually sometimes even over prepared. And so, and then after that, I say to my two young girls too all the time, early is on time and on time is late. Nobody's going to treat you with respect if you are late. So be there early. Make sure that you have time to compose yourself, that you're able to get all your ducks in a row. And I still am early for everything. It helps me prepare for whatever I am doing, a meeting, a presentation. It doesn't matter what it is. And so I think that that's important, but also then to put your best foot forward. If you don't care, we all are human, despite what the world say. We all judge a book by its cover. We make first impressions based on a variety of things. And if the person in front of you, we all feel, especially when you're being pitched to and being trying to be sold something, doesn't take their own appearance seriously and or themselves, it's really hard for somebody else to respect you. It's just the way it is. And so it's important to dress the part, to make sure that you feel good in what you're wearing, that it helps represent you. It doesn't have to be flashy and expensive, but it has to be based on where you are going and what you are doing appropriate. And pull together. Like, it drives me nuts when, somebody shows up with a wrinkled, shirt, or like, really, did you think about it before you came? Like, how much prep are you, and how do you expect me to take you seriously? So all of the challenges in the early days were really about building my own confidence to get, to make sure that I knew what I was doing. And when I got rejected, and I got rejected a lot, to me, no meant next opportunity. So, okay, how am I going to get better? What did I not do right in that sales pitch that I'm going to do in the next? And it's really about the numbers, how many times you do it. Like, nobody makes the sale or closes the deal on their first pitch. You got to do it hundreds of times, and you got to know you're going to do it that many times.
Okay. And when it comes to, out of all the pitches that you've seen, what are some things that people do in businesses that they're not supposed to be doing, and what should they be doing instead?
Yeah, so I've been on Dragon's Den now for 10 years, going into my 11. I see a lot of pitches. And I think, I said early on, what they don't often know is the basic financial questions of their business. Like, how much does their product cost? What are their margins? How much money do they have in the bank? Like, all of the things to do with money are super important. But then you also really have to know who are your competition? What is your potential? Like, what is the potential market? And don't tell me you're going to get 1% of that, because that's crazy. But you have to know what the potential is. Are you creating something so new that it's going to take time? Or are you creating something just a little bit different that's better? Great pitches also answer the basic questions, right? Who are you? Very quickly. What are you selling? Also pretty nice and to the point. Simplify it. Where, like, geographically, where is that? And that is sometimes very important to investors. They want to know where you are, because that can matter. Why? So why are you doing this? Like, what inspired you to do and create what you're doing today? It's important for us any investor to know that. And then when. It's important. Is it now, or are you thinking of launching or getting into it in 12 months, in 24 months? Like, when is important. So who, what, where, when, why, and then the how. How do you need me to be involved? Is it money? Is it connections? Is it opening some doors? Is it helping you with marketing? Is it rebranding? Like, what, like, how can I help? And any really good pitch answers those basic questions.
Okay. And how did you actually get on Dragon's Den?
I'm a big believer in, like, a lot of things in my life. It's been other people calling me and pulling me in rooms. So a long time ago, my brother was always in our commercials and in the face of our company. It wasn't me, and I didn't really want to be. And I was just more shy. And so, but CBC used to have a show called CBC Venture. You should look it up, and so should your viewers. I'm sure it's all over YouTube. It's not on anymore. But they used to, in every episode, follow two young, new entrepreneurs and founders and follow them in their story. And it was really interesting because you got some succeeded and some didn't. And they followed my brother and I around and into our launch in Ontario. And it was a bumpy ride. But the producer of that show, she went on to be the executive producer of Dragon's Den. And they were in just after their 9th season, and she'd followed our story, and she called me by chance. She had my phone number still from those days, and it was at my parents' house. And I was by chance at my parents' house that afternoon, and I picked up the phone, and she
Wow.
said that they had a couple spots, so never change your phone number. and and they said they had a couple spots and they were auditioning 12 people and they really would love if I came and auditioned. I first said no because I had two really young girls, 1 and 3, and I didn't like it was a daunting kind of sounded scary thing. I knew I had to move to Toronto and suddenly I would people would know who I am and a variety of different things. And so I told everybody in my family that night at dinner at my mom and dad's house, and everybody's like, "Are you crazy? It'd be a cool experience. Who says they're going to pick you? You're getting in over your skis and like your ego's too big to think you're that great." And I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll go for the audition." I went and there was 12 other amazing people. But, I thought there's no way I'm going to get this because these are some pretty amazing people around me. And I was just myself. I was like, I'm going to have 2 hours of fun. And I did. And I guess they liked me. And by the end of that week, they called me and said, that was in the end of March. And they said, would you come in May and film in our next season? So then I had to figure a lot of things out before I did that. But I said yes. And the world of TV is 1 year at a time. So I thought I'd have a really cool experience for 1 year. But now it's going to be my 11th year. So I've enjoyed every year. I get to see a lot of different people and pitches and products. And we never do. We don't know who's coming into the den. They don't tell us. We're not part of the
Oh,
audition.
okay.
So all we know is
Wow.
their name. Yeah, a couple like 30 seconds before they walk through the door, we're told their name. They're not so they go to extreme lengths actually to try to keep it secret from us. So it's nice because all of us are on a level playing field. We all don't know anything, and they come in and they have to talk to us or show us things. They're not allowed to give us paper. And we get 45 minutes with them, up to 45 minutes. We can make a deal or kick them out beforehand. But it's usually about 45 minutes. It takes that long for like everything to happen. And then not all, about 3/4 only, or maybe even less than that, make air. So then they edit 45 minutes down to 6 to 7 minutes for air on TV. So they edit in the summer, then it goes to air in the fall and the winter. And like I say, we shoot in the month of May all the time in Toronto. So people from around the country, after they do auditions and they're chosen, about 150 every season. It's a bit different. Are chosen to be able to come to pitches. But it is really neat for us too because we can't talk to anybody in the den. We have our phones there, but we're not allowed to call anybody, text anybody. So it's just us and what we feel about what they're presenting us and what we know, which is really neat.
And I guess when you had to first, like for the first few times, make those decisions on the spot, how did it feel? And how did you know you were making the right decision, whether you're investing or not?
You never know if you're making the right decision on anything. You have to always go with your gut. It felt great to be a part of something or to even win the deal, I will say. And it still does. But you never know. You go based on any decision in your life. You go based on the facts that you have in front of you. You can, validate them and you can talk them through after. But in life, we make so many decisions if you think about it all the time, and you make them based on the facts that you have, and you make the best decision for you, for those around you. At that moment. And I think that I'm a true believer in that you did that. And so you follow through. You can change your mind later and no big deal. But when you make a decision, you do everything that you can to follow through on that decision. So, yeah, it's exciting and it then and it still was now for sure.
Okay. And if you had to, I guess, start a business from scratch today with the knowledge that you have, what would it be?
I don't know. That's tough. I've been in business 26 years now, and I've been lucky to be a part of a lot of different businesses from fashion to baby products to dog food to other beverages to snacks to candy to, oh my God, so much stuff. To tech, businesses to, I have no idea. I have no idea what I
Okay.
would, I don't know.
Okay, and recently you had came to Toronto, and there was an event that where I met you at, and you were talking a lot about negotiation and sales. So, what would be your advice for, I guess, a 15-year-old on negotiation and sales?
So I would say, first of all, learn what it is. I think that it is something that you'll use for the rest of your life. So read some books, listen to some podcasts, talk to people around you, the adults around you, to say, okay, how do you do it? Everybody does it. So how do you do it and what works for you? And then, it's important to learn and slowly develop your own style, because it is something that you will do forever in your career, with your friends, with your eventual spouse, with kids, with friends. Like, you are always negotiating, but also always selling your own brand, whatever it is you're doing. Even if to your parents, for example, you think about it, you're negotiating later bedtimes, you're negotiating if they buy you those shoes, or if, where you go on holidays, or like, you're also, as a 15-year-old, negotiating. Fine, it's with the same people, usually your parents, or, your family, or your siblings often too. So you're doing it all the time. So why not do it knowingly, and do it with some skills and some tactics that might or might not work. But you got to try a lot of things, and you got to learn about all the different ways to do it.
So, do you have any books that you would maybe recommend?
I know a lot of adult books, but I don't know some kid, like, but I'll say, so Never Split the Difference, great book. Influence, How to Influence People, like one of the oldest time, like greatest books ever. But I will say, I do believe every 15-year-old, because I have a 15-year-old daughter and I made her, and that's when I read it for the first time, is a book. It's not only on negotiations, it's on life. It's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It has been around
Yes.
since the 1800s. It is an amazing book. I have read it dozens of times and multiple times in different parts. And I think every single person should read that. And then I think that every single person should read The Wealthy Barber, which is about finances, about money, because everybody, especially young people, should learn about money as quick as they can, because as soon as you start to make some, you need to know what to do with it.
Yeah, they definitely don't teach that at school. I know that. And I feel like it's much easier when you understand that, I guess, financial background to make the decisions that you need. And
Yes.
with the book as well, how to, what was it called? Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I've recently just started reading that one. And
Okay.
so far, it is really, really good. So I really love that book. And there's nothing too complex either. It's like right to the point. Of course, there's many stories, but it just makes you want to read it more every day. I've been working on this tutor that I'm creating with AI, where it would basically help with, I guess, math for elementary school ages at the moment, and probably expand later. How would you recommend that I would monetize that if I were to create something like that?
I fully admit that I don't know much about the tech and AI world, and like, I know how to monetize, and I think that, everybody has got their own specialties. I know how to monetize a consumer packaged good. I know how to monetize like physical items. I don't know, and I have not been successful at monetizing services. I've invested in some and I've lost a lot of money in them. So I'm not going to give you advice, but I think it's important. The lesson in there is that you got to know what you got to try everything. You got to take risks and you got to try everything. And I did that. And I discovered I wasn't good at it. I didn't have the right team, but I also didn't have the right instincts to know those things. And so I think that there's lots of great people that, have done it, and that I'm sure would be willing to share their knowledge. But I don't have advice for you there.
Okay. And I guess, do you have a mystery question for our next guest?
Oh my. Okay, my mystery question would be, um, oh, what scares you?
In like life in general or in business?
In life in general, well,
In
like
business.
snakes, and spiders, but that's not relevant. What scares you in business? And I think that tells a lot about you. And I'll tell you right now, I think what is scaring me, and I'm not one that really gets spooked right now, is the uncertainty and the unknown. But I also see a lot of opportunity in that. So there can be both sides to those things, right? With all the tariffs and with trade wars and with weak Canadian dollar and lots of things going on, the uncertainty and all the things that I don't have control on, because I like to have control, are definitely scaring me right now.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to scare me right now because I mean, I don't really do anything related to buying stuff. I think it's probably going to affect my parents more and everyone else here in Canada. But now we're going to get into the Would You Rather session. I'm going to give you 3 questions, and they're completely random. So I guess don't be surprised with what's coming.
Okay.
The first one is, would you rather have to do all your meetings on a roller coaster or answer all your emails while skydiving?
Oh my God. I hate roller coasters. So I guess emails while skydiving.
Okay. Would you rather have your business slogan be rebranded to "We tried our best" or "Probably not a scam"?
We tried our best.
Okay. And then the last one. Would you rather have Kevin O'Leary narrate your life during a pitch or just have a cat randomly stare at you during the whole session?
Oh, for sure. A cat stare at me the whole session. I will be though sneezing and my throat will, I'm very allergic to cats. So my throat will be closing and I will be sneezing. My eyes will be red, but I would prefer the cat still.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Mrs. Minhas, for being on the Young Leaders podcast. I enjoyed this conversation and I took a lot of great insights from you. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.